how those last 10 minutes, Stevie, it's just changed. The feeling, certainly in this area.
Yeah.
Well, it's deflating is what it is. You know, you're 5-0 up. The game, the tie is and should have been over. And then my good mate, Mr. Lovren, a horrendous decision, going for a ball he's never going to get, which means that Dzeko has time to pull the ball down and stick it in the back of the net. And the penalty, it's one of those things that happens.
Right.
But the fact is, Roma came back against Barcelona to win 3-0 and go through. So, as much as Liverpool are still favourites, you can't tell me that if Roma can beat Barcelona 3-0, you can't tell me they can't beat Liverpool 3-0.
But you shouldn't be deflated.
But I feel deflated.
Well, that's wrong.
When you go from absolutely cruising, the game, the tie is over, to, oh, wait a minute, now there's a little glimmer.
Let's get back on track. This was a brilliant night for this team, this manager, who, we talk about coaches, and forget the tactics for the time being. This is a Liverpool side. This is a group of players that are a mirror image of the manager. Mm-hmm. The energy, the enjoyment, the enthusiasm. And actually, you talked about they played well for 80 minutes. I think Liverpool only played well for 60 minutes.
Right, yeah.
They had a poor 10 minutes at the end, and they were not themselves for the first 20 minutes as they tried to work out the system that Roma were playing and interrupt Roma's possession. Once they did that and got their really quick passing game going, their movement going, get their runners from midfield, they were unstoppable. I thought they were absolutely brilliant. It could have been double figures, and I thought Roma were atrocious. I mean, I really did.
And you're not playing it down by saying it could have been double figures. That period after the break was just sensational.
But if this had been a fight, they would have called it.
Yeah.
It's simple as that. That's how bad Roma was, and that's how good Liverpool were. If you're Roma, what in the world are you doing playing a high line with no pressure on the ball and runners in behind from Liverpool? It was wide open for Liverpool. Once they figure out what was going on, Kolarov gets pulled out wide. That leaves the space for Salah to throw himself in behind. Nobody's running with him. Nobody can keep up with his pace. Juan Jesus defending, no thanks. Federico Fassi defending, no thanks. What is going on with Roma defensively? And the fact that they couldn't figure this out. It happened time and time and time again. Liverpool figured it out. And in the end, you have to say, Mohamed Salah is putting himself in a conversation that I don't think any of us here thought he was capable of putting a conversation. That in the top tier of players in the world, Mohamed Salah has to be considered. The finishes, the assists, the performances, the momentum that he carries for this team, and the electricity in Anfield is something that all of us should be able to appreciate.
You take a look at his numbers, 43 goals this season in all competitions, just 4 shy of the record set by Ian Rush when you were playing, Stevie, with him back in 1984. He just gets better and better.
Yeah. Oh, there's no doubt. He's on a crest of a wave, and he needs to enjoy it because there's only been 2 players in modern history able to keep that going.
Yeah.
Season in, season out. That's Ronaldo and Messi. So he wants to enjoy this and savour it because keeping it going is the difficult part. But if we look at it now, it's just amazing. I mean, the goal at West Brom at the weekend was a chip again. I mean, I don't know how many of those little clips he's done. Sure. As you said on the clip, he's panicking. Yeah. I mean, he's just like, he's so calm about it. But he was allowed, particularly as the game went on, the space. Back threes can work well and have worked well when you operate them properly. But when a back three and that kind of system doesn't function properly, it gets picked apart so much easier than a traditional back 4 and 4 in midfield, let's just say. And when your wing-backs are pushing on and you've got the high line and there's too much gap in there and you've got quick players and you get runners from midfield who are not going to get caught offside, you're going to get pulled apart.
As a defender, there is one thing, regardless of how technical the opposition player is, there's one thing that scares you more than anything, and it's pace. Right. So when you're stuck in a back three that has no pace against a front three that is absolutely ladled with pace, you're panicking constantly. And then you're told to keep a high line. It's absolute suicide. Di Francesco, he absolutely, more than anybody else connected with Roma, should have the finger pointed at him because his tactics were absolutely horrendous. And by the way, they came out in the second half and still did the same high line. So you've got to ask questions of your coach, certainly if I'm on the Roma board, because he, for me, is absolutely culpable. At the same time, Liverpool were fantastic.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, to your point, though, about a back line, okay? The last thing they want to do also, yes, they fear the pace, but they don't want to go and mark out wide either if you're a central defender. You don't want to be 1v1 against Salah with spacing behind, or Firmino, or any of these guys. Sadio Mane, who we saw, yes, he missed opportunities, but there was a speed mismatch that was very clear. The difference here between the Roma that we saw against Barcelona and the Roma that we saw today is that the lack of pace at times for Barcelona did not exploit those same spaces that were there.
Sure.
And so there wasn't an opportunity to get in behind because you don't have that same sort of speed. When Liverpool decided to go, and they decided, you know what, we're not going to bother with possession here. We're going to put it over the top because that's where the space is. They attacked the space, and Roma had no chance.
Lots of the Liverpool great stuff I don't think happens if there's no Roberto Firmino on the side.
Yeah.
Right. I don't. His work rate, he's physical, he's clever, his movement is very good, and I think he's always keeping the centre-backs on their toes, and that allows Mane's and more so Salah the space to operate.
You take a look, he's got 10 goals as well as Salah.
Yeah,
so
but
far
it's
this
just,
season.
it's just his willingness, and that's why he's so integral to what Liverpool do going forward. It's his willingness to make clever runs and walk the channel and hold the ball up and bring people into play and really take the eye of the other defenders that allows the other players the space to go and operate. I mean, he was fantastic. And when people say, well, you know, they beat Barcelona and they came back, can any of us really say they're going to keep this Liverpool team to a clean sheet in the second leg? Does anybody think so?
We'll see. We'll see what the old SBI.
I don't care what the SBI says. You can stick the SBI where the sun doesn't shine.